Hey everyone, it's Clarice here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to have you with me today. In this video, I will be sharing about my A-levels experience at Taylor's College. I just thought this video would be helpful because plenty of my friends and juniors from other schools would ask me lots of questions about my experience. So if you're considering A-levels at Taylor's or just looking at pre-university options in general, I hope this video helps you out. I'll be sharing about what A-levels are, some pros and cons of taking them, why I chose Taylor's, and my honest take on the cost, academics, and facilities at my school. While planning this video, I realized that there's way too much for me to cover in just one sitting, so this will be part 1. If you're curious about campus life, extracurriculars, accommodation, and more, stay tuned for a part 2. In the meantime, drop any questions you have in the comments below. I'll try to reply as soon as I can. I've also added timestamps in the description box below so you can jump straight into the sections you're most curious about. And without further ado, let's dive straight into the video. Just so you know, if I'm looking down, it's because I have all my points once again written on my laptop for you guys so I don't miss anything. A-levels are a pre-university qualification that students take after completing IGCSEs or SPM. In Malaysia, they take anywhere from 15 months to 2 years to complete. They're internationally recognized by many institutions all over the world, which is why some students choose to study A-levels over foundation programs or STPM because it gives you more options when applying to universities. But here's the catch, your grades in A-levels are purely from exams. So if you're not a fan of exams and would rather have a program that includes more coursework or participation in your grades, then A-levels might not be the best fit for you. It's something to think about. And please, please, please do not take it for your ego or to prove that you're smart. It just isn't worth it, and you are worth so much more than a paper qualification. Promise. Students usually study 3 to 5 subjects, but at Taylor's the maximum you can take is 4. The good thing is you get to choose subjects that you're actually interested in, though this does depend on what your school offers and whether they approve your preferred subject combination. At Taylor's, A-levels are done under the CAIE exam board, so Cambridge Assessment International Education. We have 2 major exams, AS levels and A2 levels. Each exam is worth 50% of your final grade, which can be helpful because if you didn't do as well as you hoped in one, you still can make up for it in the other. Now that that's out of the way, we'll move on to why I specifically chose to complete my A-levels at Taylor's College. I chose Taylor's because they're one of the top institutions in Malaysia for A-levels, and I felt that the quality of education offered was pretty good for the fees compared to some other private institutions in Malaysia. I also got a bit of financial aid from my IGCSE results, so that definitely helped with the overall cost. Beyond academics, I was eager to explore more ECAs, clubs, and work experience. And Taylor's definitely offered me a wide variety of clubs and activities to choose from, as well as opportunities to get involved. However, I can't say the same of work experience, and to be fair, securing meaningful work experience as a pre-university student is difficult anywhere. I've sent out dozens of emails that went unanswered, which is why I'm so incredibly grateful for the individuals and organizations that gave me a chance. This is an area I believe Taylor's could improve on for their A-level program. It would be amazing if they could form industry partnerships with organizations to help students secure work experience. I know some schools that already do this, and it really makes a huge difference. Not just for applications, but for actually understanding what you're getting into when you pick a certain career. I also wanted to challenge myself by stepping into a larger school environment to see how I would fare. Living on my own before university was another factor, as I wanted to learn how to take care of myself and stand on my own. Looking back, I would say that I gained a lot from that freedom, especially in terms of managing my own schedule and keeping myself accountable, which is something I would not have experienced as much if I had just stayed on in my hometown. Now on to fees. Because Taylor's is a private institution, the fees are on the higher side. This is a screenshot I took from the school's website of the approximate total fees for 2025, but I would advise you to head over to the website to see it for yourself because the fees do get updated periodically, so this photo will be just to give you an estimate. But having said that, there is financial aid and scholarships that you can apply for. When looking at the quality of education at any institution, the first thing I'll look at is the faculty. In my experience, the A-level lecturers at Taylor's were a mixed bag. Personally, I had great lecturers for all 4 of my subjects. They were experienced with at least 10 years of teaching behind them, and most had master's degrees. And while I was there, my chemistry lecturer was pursuing her PhD. I don't know if she's gotten it yet, but I hope she has because she more than deserves it. My lecturers were really passionate about their subjects and genuinely cared about their students, but of course not everyone had the same experience I did. The lectures you get will depend on your subject combination and a bit of luck. However, one drawback of studying at such a big institution like Taylor's is that the lecturers have a lot on their plate. For subjects like chemistry, where students often need extra help, my friends and I had to be very efficient. Because my lecturer was very short on time, we couldn't always have our questions answered after every class or on the spot. So my friends and I would compile all the questions we had and schedule consultations with our lecturer during her spare time. More often than not, we'd be seeing her during her lunch breaks. If you're studying at a smaller school, this probably wouldn't be as much of an issue, but the upside to this was that my friends and I got to learn from each other's questions and mistakes, and I personally didn't mind this hurdle because we were still getting our questions answered and I knew my lecturer really cared. Now let's talk about the pace of teaching because Taylor's moves fast. The A-level syllabus here is taught quicker than at many other schools. But even within Taylor's, teaching speed varies. For example, my friend and I both took chemistry, but we had different lecturers. Her class was several chapters ahead of mine, which I found crazy. While some students could keep up, most struggled to because of the pace. So the learning experience at Taylor's does vary depending on who you get as your lecturer. Keep in mind that the pacing of the A-level program at Taylor's, and I think at Sunway as well, is pretty wild. You'll have around 10 months to prepare for AS and around 5 months for the A2, even though A2 content is a lot harder. For reference, I started A-levels in February 2023, took my AS exams in October-November 2023, and sat for my A2 exams in May-June 2024. From personal experience, I found studying 4 subjects for the AS to be manageable. It's when you get to the A2 with 4 subjects that it starts getting overwhelming, which is why most people drop the subject after their AS results come out. Your lecturers also start teaching A2 content before you sit for your AS exams, simply because there isn't enough time otherwise. If you're in the April intake, the pace of teaching will be even faster for you because you graduate at the same time that the February students do. But if it ever feels overwhelming, which is totally understandable, you do have the option to defer to the next intake for more time to absorb the material and score better overall and just for your mental health, but it will cost extra. For those taking sciences like biology, chemistry, or physics, you'll have 2 hours of labs per week in AS, which I personally found to be enough. In A2, you still get classes in the lab, but you'll be doing fewer experiments because you only need to learn about how to plan certain types of experiments. You don't have a practical skills paper in the A2. The labs are big and pretty well equipped, but here's a funny story. We used disposable sauce plates for weighing substances in our experiments, and this was perfectly fine until we sat for chemistry paper 5 in our A2, where a question asked us about a weighing boat. and none of us knew what that was. Turns out our sauce plates were meant to be our weighing boats all along. And don't get me wrong, they worked just as well as a weighing boat would have, but it was quite a scare when the term came out in the paper and nobody knew what it was. It's a relatively small issue in the grand scheme of things, but I'm glad I can look back on it now and laugh. Another feature that some of you might be interested in is that Taylor's provides recorded lectures on the My Times platform, though I personally never use them. But I know a lot of people would appreciate this feature. For extra learning support in A-levels, there is a peer tutoring program set up by lecturers where stronger students tutor classmates who need extra help. It's optional for students whether or not they want to tutor, and for tutees, they get to decide how many sessions they want to have. And it's also a great way to work with friends. Last but not least, my education at Taylor's would not have been complete without my classmates and the people I met. I was surrounded by very driven and supportive classmates, especially within the A-level program, and that ecosystem really motivated me to push myself beyond what I initially thought possible. Now on to facilities, starting with our library. Our library looks pretty big and it spans 4 floors, but when campus is at full capacity or when it's exam season, you'll struggle finding a seat. Also, it's freezing. You'll definitely need a jacket. And as for the grand hall where exams and big events are held, it's even colder. We struggle writing our exams in there because of how cold it is. The only advice I can give you is to wear thick clothing, bring 2 jackets for yourself if needed. And if you're in for a long exam, maybe even a heat pack. I knew of people who carried chargeable heat packs into their exams because they knew they were going to be in the grand hall for the whole day. And if that isn't a reflection of how cold it is, I do not know what is. As for class sizes, in a lecture, there would be around 40 to 50 students to one lecturer, and a tutorial would have anywhere from 15 to 35 students to one lecturer. But if you take English Lit like I did, there won't be any difference in your class sizes. All of our classes were the same size because there were only 12 of us taking that subject in the entire cohort. Another thing you might like to know is that we have elevators on campus. At off-peak hours, you'll be able to easily hitch a ride, but in the day, when campus is at full capacity, don't hold your breath. You're gonna be waiting in line for a long time, or you'll need to take the stairs, which can be pretty annoying if you have class on the 8th floor and have to carry a heavy bag. The only advice I have for you is to wear comfortable shoes and begin walking to class early if you want to use the elevator. And if you're really short on time, you could take a less crowded elevator from another block and use the link bridges to walk the rest of the way to your next class. Most of the time though, taking the stairs is faster. For mental health support, because that's just as important as academic support, Taylor's offers students free counseling. If I'm not wrong, the Center for Counseling Services is on Block C, Level 8. I didn't use this, so I'm not too familiar with how it works, but from what I know, all you need to do is walk in, email, or call them to book an appointment. And every once in a while, they have little outreaches to remind us that they're there if we ever need them. I remember last Chinese New Year, they handed out mandarin oranges and a card to all of the students walking through one of the main walkways on campus. For university applications, Taylor's has University Placement Services. For short, we just call them UPS, and they're located at Campus Central. It's completely free. They help you with your university application and organize talks on personal statements, application processes for different countries, and even bring in university reps to speak with students. They send out monthly updates on upcoming events to your email, which is super helpful. But one thing to note is that they don't offer career guidance, just application support. Alright, so that's all I have so far for part 1. I hope what I've said so far helps give you a better idea of what it's like to study A-levels at Taylor's. If you found this useful, give this video a like and subscribe so you don't miss part 2, where I talk about campus life, extracurriculars, accommodation, and more. If there's anything in particular that you'd also like me to address, you can let me know in the comments below. I'll look out for it. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone.